Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to my channel for another Hot Toys Retro 1/6 scale figure unboxing and review video. Now today we are taking a look at none other than Arnie, based off his appearance in the 1987 Predator movie as Dutch. Now yes, this is an older figure, but I've still been really excited to get this guy in. If you do like seeing Hot Toys unboxing and review videos, why not hit that subscribe, bell notification icon, and join button for more info on Justin's Collection Plus, the channel membership. As for the box art, this is so retro, but I'm here for it. I love the way this looks. Up front, an image of the figure himself, down below Predator plus his name. On the side of the box, that very same info plus a read-up. Feel free to pause to read. On the back of the box, we have a bunch of warnings and legal info and some product shots, plus a date that says 2009. Yeah, your eyes aren't deceiving you. This figure is over 10 years old. Will he hold up to today's standards? Well, potentially with a Phicen body swap. More info on that a little bit later. Up front on the inside artwork, we do have another image of the figure, this time in the Predator Heat Vision view. Then the figure himself, plus on the other side, a bunch more product shots and that very same read-up that you saw before. On the back though is something really cheeky. It's a shot of the full line. Hot Toys back in the day weren't shying away from suggesting, hey, why not pick up the rest? And depending on how good this guy is, yeah, I may do exactly that. Do let me know if you'd like to see reviews on Billy as well as the original Jungle Hunter Predator. He's definitely been on my radar. Now, back in the day, Hot Toys used to cover the clam tray with not one, but two pieces of plastic. Also, the figure is held in place with twisty ties. That's not something they do anymore, luckily, but that means our unboxing segment is going to be a little bit more complicated. Or technically, it doesn't really have to be. First in-hand impressions, because this is the first time I have ever seen this figure in person, is that he looks way better than I was expecting. Now, even on the stock body, he is extremely heavy. I thought this was going to be super lightweight because back in the day they manufactured stuff differently, but oh no, he has a definite quality feel. What we are going to do now though is get all of his accessories laid out in the light box and take a closer look at everything he comes with. Starting off with the display base first, it's a classic figure, therefore a retro review wouldn't be complete without a classic oval style display base. Up top, Predator, up front, Major Allen Dutch Schaefer, then up top, for some weird reason, a waist grabber. Now I'm going to switch this out in my display for a crotch grabber, because when I switch him to an M34 Phicen body, this guy's going to be a lot thicker than this. You do get two grenades, and yes, they are tiny. They're well sculpted, and they're well painted, again, considering this guy's from 2009. Moving on to his weapons, we may as well start off with his knives first. You do get two of them. One that's more of a standard combat knife with a serrated edge and a really nicely textured grip, whereas the other is absolutely huge. It's painted in this shiny metallic silver, but you also have some matte black sections. There are actually spots to store those on his outfit, and you'll see that a little bit later. You do get a pistol that does have a removable magazine with some bullet detail painted up top, but don't forget, this is a very old figure, so nothing else moves here. It's cast in gunmetal plastic with some brown paintwork for the grips. By far the largest and most impressive weapon here though is the M4. I love the way it's sculpted, and even though the dry brushing is a little heavy-handed compared to today's standards, it still looks really good. Now on the side it does say SR16M4 and the caliber. You can remove the gunmetal magazine with some painted bullet detail up top. You've got an opening ejection port, a real moving sight that can be moved up and down for the grenade launcher, and yes, you can open up said grenade launcher. Now unfortunately mine didn't actually come with an M203 grenade to install on the inside, but That's something I'm sure I can find on the aftermarket. You also have a real fabric sling, so you can have this just sitting along his shoulder. Lastly, you do get only one bonus hand. Nowadays we get a full complement, but in 2009 it seems you got only 3 in total. A trigger finger hand, a weapon gripping hand, and this one. I like the way it's sculpted with the stitching and the buckle on the outside. It's made of this rubbery plastic, so fingers crossed it should be relatively easy to get on to his wrist peg. You also have the cigar up top, which is removable, although it's relatively small, so do be careful not to lose it. Standing straight up and down in the light box, no crazy poses or accessories or anything like that. Just bear with me for a minute, I'm going to put my 2009 hat on, and then we'll talk about it from a modern day perspective. Now, back in the day, if this was the figure I received, yeah, I'd be pretty happy. The head sculpt looks really good, more on that in a minute. The outfit isn't perfect, but it's mostly fabric, which means it's great for posing. The biggest letdown would have been the body, and it still is to this day. There isn't any skin texture on it, you'll see when we take off the jacket, and the neck is really long. His shoulders are also slouching down, which doesn't do him any favors whatsoever. I'm hoping the Phicen body is a significant and noticeable upgrade. But still, if you're thinking, ooh, do I want a Dutch for the collection? Can I display him with the stock body? Yeah, you absolutely could. You would have to do some futzing with the outfit, but it's totally doable. Up close and personal, starting off with the head sculpt first. I know, I've said this a bunch, but he's from 2009. This head sculpt has no business being as good as it is. The likeness, the skin texture, the expression, and the paint applications. Oh yes, I'm very happy. Is it 100% perfect? No, obviously not. Is it up to Hot Toys 2022 standards? Also no. But for a retro Dutch figure, yeah, this is going to do the job beautifully. The only complaint is his neck is really long. That's something that hopefully will be rectified when we get out the Phicen body. Most of his interchangeable outfit options have to do with the upper torso, you'll see what I mean, don't worry. The vest is all brown fabric, although you do have some pleather sections. The grain looks good, but it's still pleather. I have no idea how it survived this long. Now, I did buy it brand new, so that could be why, but I'm going to make a mental note to be careful and try not to even touch it. We do have the grenades up top that hook onto these little D-rings, and some proper functional pockets. If you wanted to, you could open them up with the Velcro and slot something in there. Now, the vest does attach around the front, also with Velcro. The shirt is supposed to have the sleeves rolled up, although tailoring back in 2009 by Hot Toys did look a little bit goofy, bulky, and doll-like. So that's exactly what you're seeing here. I don't know if I'm going to have him wearing this jacket in the display, but it's definitely an option. With all of that stuff now removed, we can, number 1, see his tank top, which is woodland camo just like his pants, and number 2, see his body a lot better. Now, the body isn't really up to today's standards. Here we have the Phicen that I'll be using for comparison. It's a lot bigger and it's fully seamless, whereas this one does have some seams up here at the shoulders. But seeing as though he's wearing the tank top or the vest, you won't really see those anyway. Now, there isn't any skin texture, there are no paint applications, it's all unpainted rubbery material. I'm fairly certain there is a metal endoskeleton here because it does feel, as I said in the unboxing segment, quite hefty. You also have some discoloration around his neck area, and once again, his neck is really, really long. Apparently, the reason they did that is so that it looks good and in proportion with the jacket on, but when you take it off, it does look really goofy. There is a lot going on with his belt area, and not all of it is good. You have multiple different belts with some real metal sections and eyelets, plus a holster for his pistol, and yes, his pistol is inside. Whereas this section right here is the not so good part. It's a pleather holster for his knife, but it's deteriorating very quickly. I slid the knife in, and as soon as I moved my finger away, it was covered in pleather dust. Fingers crossed it lasts at least until the rest of this video, so I can pop him in the cabinet and it won't deteriorate any further. The pants themselves are woodland camo, and they are a little bit baggy to allow for articulation. You do have another holster, this one for his much bigger knife, and it does seem a little bit more sturdy. It's made of a different pleather. Then coming down to the boots, the texture is good. They're well painted, they're well sculpted with some tread underneath, but unfortunately they are one solid hunk. That means you don't really have a ton of articulation. Now I am curious to see what this guy looks like on the Phicen body. So without further ado, because he still has all of his layers on, you can't quite get the full effect, but don't worry, they're coming off in just a second. At the very least, you can probably tell he's a lot bigger and bulkier. He's now taller, his thighs are massive, his biceps are huge, and his pecs are significantly larger. It's also solved the long neck issue immediately. His neck is now much more in proportion to the rest of his body, where previously it was far too long. Now it was slightly tricky to slide on the pants, especially at the points where it's cinched because of the holsters and the various straps and buckles. Take your time, it'll slide on, you just need to sit there and tinker. The same thing can be said for the jacket. Don't forget, you do need to tuck it in underneath his pants. With the jacket and vest now removed, this is so worth doing. He looks way better. The fact that the neck issue was solved, I'm so darn happy, because he looked really goofy before. Now he's nice and big and bulky. Technically, this body was designed as Arnold's body anyway, so it is kind of accurate to pair this outfit, this head sculpt, with this body. Not to mention that the skin tone match between the head sculpt and the body is practically perfect. Do weigh in, which look do you prefer, the original body or this one? If you are wondering which look I'm going to use in my display, it's this one right here. I love the way this looks. You can see all of his arms, a lot of his torso. His Phicen body is just a lot more exposed. And seeing as though the Phicen body is pretty pricey and it looks so awesome with this head sculpt, yeah, I kinda want to show it off in the collection. For a quick side-by-side comparison, here we have the Hot Toys Classic Predator standing in as my Jungle Hunter. A lot of people let me know in my previous Predator video, hey Justin, you moron, it's not the Jungle Hunter, it's the Classic. I know, I'm just using him as a stand-in until I eventually pick up the real one. Whereas on the left, we have the new and improved M34 Dutch. Oh yes, these two look really good standing together. Dutch is now taller on his Phicen body, but the classic Pred is still even larger. In the display, these two are going to look really good as complementary pieces in my Predator line. Going over articulation on the stock body, I have no idea what to expect, but do bear in mind this is my personal copy of the figure, so I'm going to be a little bit more careful. Starting off with the head sculpt, it doesn't really want to do anything forward and back, but it will swivel and pivot side to side. The arms do go up to there on soft ratchets, going forward and back, butterfly joint at the shoulder that also hinges up and down. You don't really have a swivel at the bicep. I'm pretty sure it'll come into play at the elbow. Single bend there, and of course a regular 1/6 scale wrist peg. The torso doesn't really want to do anything forward, nor does it want to go side to side or pivot either. The legs will go forward to there, they will go out to there, swivel at the upper thigh, double bend at the knee, and unfortunately, because the boot is one fixed solid piece, even though you have a double ball peg, you only really get swivel. Wrapping up on the Hot Toys Dutch, aka Arnie, based off his appearance in the 1987 film Predator. Going into this, really excited, but at the same time, really nervous, because I didn't know if the head sculpt was going to hold up in person, how was the outfit going to look if the body and the pleather had degraded. All of that stuff had me a little worried. Now that I have him though, and I've switched everything to the Phicen body, it was so worth it. This guy is an older figure, meaning he's really expensive. I had to pay a ton to get him. But even with the additional cost of a Phicen body, so darn worth it. The proportions are really good. The head sculpt is incredible. Even though it's an older sculpt, it still holds up. And with the outfit on that new body, it just pops. This guy is going to work beautifully in the Predator display. My only complaint is, why the heck did I not do this sooner? It's a figure that's iconic, it's from an incredible movie that I absolutely adore, and it took the film Prey to give me the kick up the butt I needed to finally go out and pick up some darn good Predator figures. Now unfortunately, this guy's really hard to find. I don't exactly know where you can get one from. I got mine from a local seller. You'll just have to hunt around. If you are heading down to the description, why not hit that subscribe, bell notification icon, and join button if you like the sound of seeing your name in the end credits of my reviews. Like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next video.